Is there anything you would have done different in hindsight, or you think it was the best you could have done?
I just got a little red in the face, I think.
Okay, we're here at the Grodega with
Michael Zuckerman.
Michael Zuckerman. Now, what is your claim to fame?
I really don't know how to answer that, Peter. Claim to fame.
Yeah.
What
brings you?
Humble beverage investor.
I think it's a good, the humble beverage investor.
That's what I would say.
That's a good claim.
I just got a little red in the face, I think.
Yeah, you're allowed to.
That's okay.
We're drinking Tatsu Tea hot off the line here, right?
Yeah, phenomenal product.
Now, what's your role with Tatsu?
So I am a board advisor,
Okay.
a friend and investor to the brand, and someone who really believes in their message, the product, and the people behind it.
Yeah, matcha-based performance drink.
Matcha-based, performance drink, healthy, better for you, hydration, yes.
Now, you have a long history in beverage. What's the Cliff Notes version to get to where we are today? You want to dive into that?
So I would say, as you know, right, I ran a very old family beverage packaging business. And when we looked to grow the business, call it 20 years ago, we were faced with two choices. The first being a packaging distributor, you want to carry other products, right? We weren't a beverage packaging distributor. And other products, other industries, warehousing, right? That was the model that we were taught to grow. And
now, when you say you were taught, goes back how far?
Goes back to the early 1900s. But when I say taught, that's the model, right? That business school would teach, right? You want to grow your business organically, you're a distributor, put other products through the company. And we put a plan in place and we're ready to execute on that plan and decided to pull back. And we decided to have our sales team focus on becoming experts in the beverage space. And for us, what that meant was not selling a container, although that's how we made a living, but knowing the space and advising. Keep in mind, we'd never monetize this, right? Mm-hmm. But advising on items such as private equity, beverage distribution, raw material suppliers, co-pack network. And so that was sort of the model that we put in place and took us to where we are today.
Nice.
I just consolidated a very long history into probably a minute and a half.
Right, but you work with some pretty premier companies.
So we had worked previously in my former role. Look, we were lucky and humbled enough to work with some of the largest growth beverage companies out there, and a lot of small ones too.
I mean, was this always the plan? You were like, this is a multi-generational company, I'm going to do this when I get older? Or was there a point when you were like you just made the click and was like, I'm going to go do that? Or
so no one, it's funny. I have 3 boys, and I was telling them 2 of the 3 this story the other night, but no one ever said, what do you want to do for a living? What do you want to study? What are your interests, right? It was just like, this is what you are going to do. And keep in mind, our business we had several family members on our side, but we had a whole nother family that was involved in the business.
Because it's Zuckerman Honickman.
Yes.
So, okay, so you never really had a decision, this was the decision. And you loved it.
Loved it. It was my whole identity for a really long time. But we felt that we made a decision that was in the best interest of the business and its employees, which was to sell.
To sell the company.
Yes.
And I'm sure over the years there's always been people trying to acquire or expressing interest in the company. What made this time different?
So there were a couple things. We grew the business significantly the last decade and a half. Far bigger than we ever thought we would.
And was that partially this fortuitous timing with the uptick and better for you and beverage and Whole Foods? And
I'm going to say everything in my life has been timing. So yes, I'd like to think hard work, right, had a lot to do with that, but timing 100%, right? There was an emerging beverage market. Better for you, lower calorie, health-oriented beverages. And we grew it to the point where we had a decision to make. We could either go backwards eventually, which no one wanted to do. We could buy other businesses, which was part of our plan for a while, right? That was our growth. And in order to do that, we had to put a lot on the table. We had to risk a lot. And ultimately, we weren't prepared to do that. And the third and final step was to sell. And ultimately, we felt the business had headwinds. So being in the packaging business with plastic, that, as you know, right, whether we believe it or not, gets a very bad rap today. And that was 60% of what we did at the time. And aluminum, which is a phenomenal market, an emerging, growing market, but there's an abundance of a supply chain. And we got in the aluminum market when there wasn't a lot of suppliers. So,
and now it's like heavily tariffed, right?
You have tariffs, because of the popularity of the package, you have so many suppliers entering the market.
And when you were growing up, though, everything was glass, right?
Everything was glass.
So then when did like aluminum or plastic, was it like the 70s, what it really kicked in, or?
So if you remember the plastic, I mean, even plastic started out in soft drinks with base cups. So there were plastic bottles and then black plastic, you may be too young to
I have
remember
no clue.
this, man.
Base cups.
Yes, so plastic, while there is clearly an environmental issue, right? It is the best polymer. It is the best raw material to package a lot of items in, for shelf life, for carbonation, for breakage. And yes, I would say that market started to emerge for us in the late 70s, early 80s, and didn't fully convert, right, until, call it, the late 90s. So you still had very successful brands in glass like Snapple and Arizona. Again, finally being 2025, they finally made the conversion, right? Where glass is a thing of the past.
And you guys were like blowing your own glass on the, no.
So our model has always been, we never manufactured anything. So we would pick and choose a supplier in a specific market and get in bed, get in partnership with them. And what that means is we had take or pay contracts where we guaranteed the supplier X amount of units a year, and in turn were priced accordingly. And those relationships enabled us to go to the marketplace and target the small to medium-sized growth beverage company, have them priced appropriately, and grow with them. And Peter, generally the former life cycle, right? The overwhelming majority, I think it was like a 93% rate of this, that we kept the clients through the life cycle of their business. So through the founding and the sale. And that's something we're really proud of.
I mean, hundreds of brands.
I mean, over the course of a very long time, but yes.
And is there one product that you had the most emotional attachment to during your tenure?
Without question.
Besides Tatsu?
Besides Tatsu, yes. Look, Tatsu, I met, and I love them. I met them.
Delicious product.
Post ZH.
So refreshing.
Phenomenal product, yes.
It's not like the matcha that you're used to. It's like a clean matcha.
No, and that's the goal, right? Is, people, I think, historically have thought of matcha as not a great tasting product, right? Not a great tasting ingredient. And I feel that Tatsu is really changing the mindset of that.
So, but what was your favorite, or without question?
Without question, the most emotionally connected brand for me has been BodyArmor.
BodyArmor.
The biggest success for our former company, for us personally, and it was just such a privilege to be a small part of that.
And you helped with the very beginning formulation all the way to where it is today?
Not formulation. So from the packaging side of things. And these guys were experienced in beverage already.
Let's pull up. I got the Spins app on me, so let me pull up the BodyArmor while you talk, but keep going.
So we dealt with them specifically on the packaging side. This wasn't a traditional startup, right? These guys were experienced. They had
some private equity backing?
In the beginning, they were self-funded. So it was the former founder of Fuse and NOS.
Right.
And one of the founders and president of Vitamin Water came together and started BodyArmor.
What is BodyArmor's parent company?
Now Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay.
but it was just, we haven't seen anything like it.
I mean, they're doing right now $953,353,000 in sales in just the U.S. alone.
Yeah, I believe it.
That is incredible. So when you started work with them, where were they at?
When I started to work with them, I mean, it was pre-revenue, right? Whoa. We hadn't built a package yet.
Oh my gosh. That's gonna be incredible to watch that uptick.
It was incredible, and it was the ride of a lifetime.
And then, okay, so let's look at them for a second. So using them as like kind of like a showcase, what are the right ingredients that don't just go into the formulation of the product, but you need the right team, right? You need the right co-pack or manufacturing facility and supply chain.
You need to be funded. You need to have the right product, the right distributor. I mean, there's so many facets, right? And I had the privilege to observe these facets, but I'm in no way an expert in them.
Okay.
And I think...
So it's a lot of luck too. Like you never know what the final outcome is going to be when you put all the ingredients together here.
Without question. If you ever have the opportunity, the founder, Mike Rapoli, if you ever had the opportunity to hear him speak or look him up online, it's fascinating. And he will tell you how scary it's been all along the ride.
Wow.
So,
all right, nice. And then, so then you take the company, you make the decision, we're going to exit, and then you go through the whole process. How long does an exit take for a multi-generational company of your size? It doesn't happen overnight, right? There's a lot of different steps to go to get to closing.
We didn't market the business. We didn't look to sell the business, right? We were considering different strategies, and we were approached by a very large packaging conglomerate, Tricor Braun. And ultimately, I want to say it did not take very long. It took about 6 months from start to finish.
That's not bad at all.
It was an arduous process. It was a process that running the business took my eye off the ball for a period of time. But it's something that, ultimately the most important thing outside of the numbers and the employees, right? Were culturally, is it a fit? Can we keep this company intact? How's
the transition been?
So,
because you're still in it.
I am still in it.
Yeah.
I ran it for 2 years and consulted. This will be the end of my first consulting year, and to be determined for 26. But they've taken very good care of the business, of its employees, and it's working out nicely.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to see that.
Of course.
Yeah, good, because there's so many times you hear about these mergers, especially in the space. Like I think I just heard last month that Kraft Heinz are now separating, and it doesn't always work out when companies come together, acquire.
Look, it's a tough thing, especially going from a family atmosphere to a much larger corporation. Ultimately, we're on our own island. We are the beverage division for Tricor Braun, along with CanSource and one other portfolio company.
Where are they based out of, Tricor Braun?
Chicago, St. Louis.
Okay.
So far, so good. The biggest concern, Peter, for us, we worked with a lot of these people for a very long time. And they've become part of our families. They've been over for holidays.
Yeah,
and,
employees. They built the business.
Built it. And it is a very close-knit group. And ultimately, that was the biggest concern. That was the number one issue that we addressed, and they've done well so far.
And then, okay, so that's a good question too. As like a founder, CEO here, when do you tell the employees? Because it took 6 months, but in that 6 month period, you don't say anything for the first 3 months. No. I'm assuming, right?
So for the first 5 months, right? These were, we'd work during the day, and then
compartmentalize the conversations. That there was no.
And it was doing the real work in the evenings, going through the numbers, going through meetings with the bankers and lawyers, and that took place after business hours. It was a concern. It's a demotivator for people.
The possibility of an exit is a demotivator.
The possibility of being sold to a large corporation when they've felt, and we felt, that we looked after this pool of employees. The goal was not to keep anything for 5 months, but the goal was to say, stay the course. Ultimately, Peter, what was good for us was good for the employees. So every employee in our company, everyone, warehouse manager up to, the executive team, became a shareholder before we sold.
Whoa.
And it was when I say I speak for me, my family, my partner now and former partners, but it was the proudest moment with the whole transaction.
And is that like an in-person meeting when you announced, or was it an email, or how do you keep it as personal as you did it?
We called everyone in. I think it was on January 3rd was the first day back. And made an announcement, had Cork come in also. They spoke to our employees, and we did individual team meetings. One by one, we took the whole day. The next day we did suppliers, followed by customers. And we addressed each person's concerns, their needs in the one-on-one meetings we had.
Wow. It's a textbook way of doing it.
It didn't feel that way at the time, but looking back, it was a textbook way, but it worked.
Is there anything you would have done different in hindsight, or you'd think it was the best you could have done?
That's really interesting. No one's asked me that. I think if I give it some thought, I will absolutely find things that I could have done better.
And then what about, the exit price? I mean, I'm not saying share, but how do you come up with that number? Do you have your own formulation? That's like a game in itself, right?
So our business was valued with one thing, which is EBITDA, right?
Multiple on
and this
EBITDA.
was a multiple of EBITDA.
Okay.
And look, when I say valued at one thing, we looked at that. We looked at the contracts that were in place, how long they were in place for. But that's ultimately how they determine value. We handed them off a business that was very secure for the next 3 to 5+ years, contractually, meaning that our former company had contracts with the suppliers and the customers 3 to 5 years out.
Okay, that's great. All right, let's talk about some trends in the beverage space. So you're still involved. You're not retired by any means.
No, what I've done, Peter, is we started a small family office with one of my former partners.
Lauren?
Yeah. For the purposes of investing in consumer packaged goods. And it just so happens that the overwhelming majority of that has been beverage, followed by snack food and some personal care.
And so, what do you look for? Like what's your portfolio target ideal applicant?
Look, we had this thesis, right? That we were targeting better for you products with high margins and all the things that we would want to see in deals. We found that was a good discipline to put in place, but that it didn't work, right? Because we were ultimately interested in growth companies that were doing good for people, that had a nice return on investment.
And what's trending now? Or what are you seeing a lot more investment decks for?
Protein. Specifically in beverage, a lot of protein, a lot of carbonation. Again, that is beverage specific. I would say the trend is definitely better for you.
Okay.
I would also tell you that we got involved in a company beverage that is very high calorie, high carbohydrate, but had nice returns and was hitting a good part of the population.
And has the whole RFK reformulation effort impacted the business at large, or in your world?
How the majority of the companies that we're involved with now already had the mindset that they were going, not everyone, but the majority, that they were not going to use red dyes and bad for you additives, preservatives, etc. So I would say that it didn't affect my specific market that much. It definitely affected the beverage space.
Have you seen anyone go under because of this? No, right? They've all found a substitute?
They've all found a substitute. I've seen people take hit on their margins without question. But ultimately that was the benefit of these dyes, right? Was the cost. And so ultimately, I think it's a good thing. I really do.
Nice. All right, so what else is trending? You got protein, you got carbonation. Anything that you like that you want to give a plug to that you're excited about?
I would, yeah. Okay, we'll go on there.
Yeah. What do you like?
Look, we've seen a lot of brands in the ready-to-drink category begin to fall back, and we've seen that.
Now, what does that mean?
Meaning volume is retracting, they're going backwards. The ready-to-drink segment is not continuing to grow.
How come?
So when we talk about trends, there is I believe people have broken down the stigma of the sober stigma, right? Sober seems to be cool.
Yeah,
sober,
NA, everything's NA.
NA.
Yeah. Non-alcoholic. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sober alternatives are out there, right? Depending on how you look at sobriety, there are drinks in the THC, CBD market. And we really believe that that's going to be a growth segment. So one of the areas...
RTD, THC, CBD,
yes.
cannabinoid market.
Yes, cannabinoid.
Cannabinoid. Nice.
But when we talk about brands that are not necessarily on trend, we just made an investment in a really cool company called Spiked Aid.
Spiked
Aid.
Aid.
That is a vodka-enhanced sports drink Gatorade type product.
Whoa.
Okay, Gatorade flavors.
It's like you're tailgating, you have a better game.
Tailgating, beaches, college kids.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's not malt-based, right? So alcohol's alcohol. This is a cleaner alcohol, right? Made with real vodka.
Local Philly company?
Not a local Philly company.
Oh, where are they based?
They're based in North Jersey.
Wow, nice.
But guys that have come out of the industry, specifically snack foods. So again, we like to also bet on the jockey. The product is very important to us, but so is the management team, their vision. And that's a great example of that.
All right, any advice, feedback, things you want to tell people?
Look,
in the whole world?
Something that I've learned, I'll just start with one lesson I learned along the way. One simple discipline I put in place was I wouldn't leave my office until I returned every call, no matter who it came from. And I guess one bit of advice that I've learned, which would be to talk to everyone, be polite to everyone, listen to everyone. Doesn't mean you have to be on board with them. Doesn't mean you have to even follow up after that, unless you tell them that you will. But it just means to listen, and I've learned a lot more from listening than talking.
Wow, all right, that's really good advice. Now, but what happens when someone like really pisses you off, though? You still listen?
If you get pissed off, you get pissed on. Meaning,
right, see, this is why I asked. That's awesome.
Meaning, look,
get pissed off, you get pissed on.
There's not a lot that could piss me off.
Trigger you.
Yes. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That's not a fair statement to me. Okay. Look, I am listening to other people's visions, their brands, their execution. So it's their strategy, right? I'm here to give advice. I'm here to help. I'm here to sell a container in my former life. But ultimately, it's helping the brand owners execute on their vision.
Okay. And is there any trend that you're most excited about?
So we've talked about that a couple times now. You know, we've touched on it. And, you know, in beverage, again, healthier, better for you. In snack food, I also think high protein, lower carb. And the overwhelming trend, Peter, what we're focused on also outside of brands is the sustainable packaging materials out there.
Right.
And that's, you know, one thing we looked at in our former life as well, right?
Yeah, it must kill you seeing like a bottle in a creek, or a river, and being like that. It's
a tough thing. It is without question a major problem. I think there is some smoke and mirrors behind it, but ultimately, yes, there is a plastic problem. And a sustainability problem in general. So when I say, you know, using this as an example, right? Aluminum is a very well used recyclable material, but you're still shipping air. you're still using fuel to ship air, right? There's an example of just simply producing this can, which was important to Tatsu, closer to the manufacturing facility. Already you're doing something to help with sustainability.
Yeah, and efficiency, supply chains, all of it. All right, well, that's great. I love the new fridge. Get the camera on this, get the camera B over here.
Oh yeah.
Look at this thing. Gorgeous, right? And then what's the goal of Tatsu? Where are these going to be? Where can we expect to find? If I want to get Tatsu, what should I be looking for?
Mike, how do I answer this?
So this is, I'm glad I'm not on screen for this. So they're shipping nationwide online. We are
TatsuTea.com.
TatsuTea.com.
Also, if you're buying in bulk, Grovara.
Yeah, Grovara.com. Deeply in Philadelphia. We were lucky to come out of the combat sports community, so it'll be everywhere throughout there and coming soon.
Should we have a guest?
Should we have a guest
visitor? Let's have a guest visitor on here.
Coming soon. We're coming live on camera. Make this announcement. Is this a big deal? And the cans are going to be white.
This is the only time they'll let me on film. They're going to be white. This is actually one I tried to print and screwed up because I didn't have.
And who are you?
Expertise here. So I'm Michael Crossley. I'm the CEO of Tatsu Tea, co-founder and CEO.
Just happened to be here today.
I just happen to be here. I have to, if our best investor, best advisor is on the show.
And what's the big update here? Where can we find this coming soon?
It's actually going to be coming out everywhere really soon. I mean, so Philadelphia, we're based in Philadelphia, so we're going to be launching locally in Philadelphia. We'll be expanding into gyms across the country really over the next year. And we're starting to roll out now in some of the natural stores. So,
and how are you going to stay ahead of the matcha shortage?
Look.
You going to pull some strings for these guys?
Listen, he's going to pull the strings for us. Right. I will, not to speak for you, but the team and Mike have done an unbelievable job insulating their supply chain, which is really important.
We've spent a year, we've really spent the last year, I think when a lot of other people were chasing sales, understandably so, we've really spent a lot of time really working on supply chain redundancy, manufacturing continuity. We'll have a couple, I can't announce them just yet, but we'll have a couple of other products coming out that are going to insulate us a little bit better. When this comes in, and I think a lot of what you're seeing, it's an incredibly popular product, ingredient. Matcha is incredibly popular for all the right reasons. I do think you're seeing a little bit of clickbait. It's a little bit overplayed. The prices are coming up a little bit on matcha, but again, we're trying to do everything else so that we can keep prices down for the consumers.
All right, well, we got a surprise for you for coming in today. This is your Grovara team jacket. Welcome to
really
the program.
Thoughtful, man. Thank you very much.
Come on the podcast. You get to be.
I'll take it.
Get over here. Let's make sure this fits you, though.
This is like in the Masters, man.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Let's do that.
Yeah, make it official.
That's really nice, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, this is.
I have my shoulder
good.
problem.
There we go. There we go. I'm gonna fit you nice.
Let's do this.
Look sharp. Oh man! If you enjoyed this podcast, check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, or subscribe on Spotify or Apple. Like, comment, subscribe, and always go global here at Grovara.